Welcome back, everyone, to Hearthstone Grandmasters for the Americas. We have a second match coming up, which is the winner of the previous one. Eddie is going to go up against lnguagehackr, who beat Empanazato. And, we have two players formerly from Team Lazarus. It's only kind of fitting that two players who have been some of the most dominant in the Americas for the past couple of years. And also kind of the rising stars, right? People are so used to Muzzy and Saiyan and Purple, Firebat and Zalay doing so well over the course of years. But it's only been like the past 2 years in particular that Eddie and lnguagehackr have been performing exceptionally well. So it just makes sense to watch him once again get to this point.
Yeah, it'll be a pretty awesome battle, actually. I've been excited to watch Eddie play since I kind of saw the matchups or saw how the groups ended up last week. He's bringing Rogue this time around. Warrior banned again, of course, but Eddie's on top right now. So he's put himself in the position to get to the end of the road as easily as possible. He just needs to close out this match.
Yes, and the winner of this will go to the top 4 on Sunday, because tomorrow we're going to be playing Group B and the second relegation match as well. Yeah. So taking a look at the lineups here, it looks like Eddie has chosen to adopt the Rogue as part of his lineup strategy instead of the Druid. I'm a fan. I think Rogue has won me back, actually. I played a little bit over the course of the week, and I was struggling a little bit, notably because I was facing Warriors on ladder, but every non-Warrior matchup that I played with Rogue felt fairly competitive and made me also think that I was perhaps misplaying and could have even won the game, even if the ones that I lost. So I think that Rogue is very much a solid deck. I don't think it's by all means an auto-include in your lineups, but I think that any lineup that has Rogue is a reasonable choice right now.
And you were playing the secret package or the stealth package?
Yeah, I think the secret package felt better to me, specifically with Shadow Jewel Hanar and the non-Bamboozle version featuring Questing Adventurer. But I actually also like this 1 of inclusion, or this 2 of inclusion of Spy Mistress as the only stealth minion. I don't think playing Greyheart Sage and whatnot is the answer right now, unless you're trying to like beat Warlock. That's it.
Yeah, we saw it work a little bit last week, but it seems like the vast majority of players that brought Rogue brought the secret version.
Yeah, and part of the reason why is because with the meta slowing down just a little bit with Warlock coming into play, you have opportunity for cards like Questing Adventure to run away with the game. And I like the fact that Questing Adventures are in the deck because it gives meaningful threat to the lackeys. A lot of the problems that you saw with Rogue in the mid game was that they would have like 9 cards in hand. They all costed 1 to 2 mana. They all had minimal impact on the board, but like you would have to have the right combinations of lackey. It felt kind of like a poker hand. It's like, what kind of lackey hand does your hand say, right?
Yeah,
it's like, oh, I have 2 kobolds, a goblin lackey, and a titanic lackey. Like, okay, you can survive this turn. And that's kind of what happened every single turn with Rogue.
Yeah, and it sort of gives you more Big Edwin-esque opportunities, basically, to put like a massive threat down on your board, which, Rogue players would be good at timing around different removal. So we'll see how things start off between these two players.
Right. So we're going to start things off with what looks like to be that Rogue versus that Warlock, which could be a really key matchup here because I believe that Eddie wants his Rogue to match up against the Warlocks.
Yeah, I think so.
It is a little bit dicey because Rogue does take a while to get set up. So the danger is that, when you play against a Warlock deck and you're off to a very slow start and you don't have a lot of card draw and you don't have the Edwin or the Questing Adventurers, Warlock can still find a way to win. But I think that Rogue is very competitive in this matchup, even if it's not like a super one-sided dominant matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people jump immediately to thinking about how much removal the Warlock has, but the Rogue has a lot of ways of getting around that. You can get around big taunts with your ambush minions. You've got huge burst damage opportunities with discounts from the wand from Togwaggle or from, Galakrond himself. So there's a lot of kind of surprising sort of board setups, 2-turn lethals that Rogue can bring to this matchup that Warlock, you miss one turn where you didn't have the removal that you needed to have, and then that's it. That's GG, right? So it'll be interesting to see the matchup.
Yeah, and just from our small sample size, it seems like the Seeker Rogue is favored. It's won +6 so far, net 6 matches. So yeah, it's been generally pretty favored, but the data on publicly available sites kind of implies that it's closer than that. So I wonder if Variance is going to swing the opposite way and Quest Warlock will just start getting the wins. Or it could just be the fact that GMs know how to pilot Rogue that much better.
Well, that's the thing too, is that like GM has a smaller sample size in terms of gameplay, but it also has a higher quality of players. So that probably balances it out a little bit.
Totally. So that first match this first game is about to get underway. We're just getting the players set up as we know that we're all broadcasting remotely right now. A third match, as we mentioned, for people who are kind of just straggling in right now, is that Firebat would be playing Empanizado. That'll be in the elimination match after Firebat yesterday won his play-in bracket against Muzzy. And then the final match will be Monsanto versus Nalgidan, which will begin the relegation bracket. And I got a chance to chat with both of them just very briefly during the week. So, looking forward to that to see who can stay in GM for this season.
Yep. You win, you are alive. You escape the relegation bracket. You lose, you move on, but not in really the way you want to. So again, like Frodan was just talking about, here are today's matches. Of course, we did just see lnguagehackr take out Empanizado, knocking him down in the bracket. Now we have Eddie versus lnguagehackr. So it is a bit of a marathon situation for a lnguagehackr as well, where he just played that really close 3-2 match against Empanizado. And now right away, you've got to play against the best player in Division A. So it's definitely out of the frying pan into the fire right now for lnguagehackr.
Yep. We have... Oh, there's also secret match, decider match to find out who is also going to go to the top 4. Can't forget about that one. Just looking at like what's available on the schedule. But yes, the winner of Firebat versus Empanizado, and then the loser between Eddie and lnguagehackr will be the deciding match. And then we'll have relegation match number 1, Santo versus...
Right. Should be fun. I believe we're about ready to get started, which will be that Warlock versus Rogue matchup. Here we go. Eddie piloting the Rogue, lnguagehackr with his Warlock that we just saw a couple games ago. And we'll see which one of these Canadian players will move on in the bracket to get that shot at top 4 on Sunday.
That's right. So here we go. Start things off. Eddie has an okay hand. I think that this is a much better hand if he was playing against Demon Hunter. In fact, I would generally entertain the idea of 4-keeping, even if he doesn't have a secret for Blackjack Stutter, so he can just get something onto the board. But against Warlock, I think you could justify throwing away everything, although I think Evil Miscreant is also worth keeping.
Okay. Yeah, I could see it. It all depends on how much success early you think you're going to have against a Warlock, right? Like if you think you're going to be able to, and by success I don't necessarily mean damage. I mean like how much removal can you take away from the Warlock early with these like lower tier threats, right? It's going to mulligan a couple. I like the Shadow Cat, or the Pharaoh Cat rather. Actually, he replaced the Blackjack Stunner with something that's a little bit more useful early.
The pleasure is mine.
All
right. Well, yep, pretty reasonable. And
hi, Eddie.
Eddie,
you
saw
take
the
it from
generous
here,
mummy.
Cat.
Yeah, he saw the generous mummy. He's like, I'm out.
That's right. Feeling generous too. Well, I don't anticipate Eddie doing a whole lot more with his turn. As he's just letting the rope burn down. lnguagehackr mulling over what his turn 1 is going to be. Or his turn 2, rather, which is probably just going to be the life tap. You know, Frodan, I watched the Warcraft movie again last night, actually. For the first time.
Did you?
Yeah, for the first time since seeing it in the theater. And you know what? It took some flack, but I think there's a good movie in there. I think it was a little bit rushed, a little bit over-edited, maybe. Some things were taken out that probably should have stayed in, is what I would guess. But I think it's solid. I want to see another one. Maybe I'm unpopular with that opinion, but I want to see another Warcraft movie.
I mean, from the way it was, I haven't seen the Warcraft movie.
What?
I didn't grow up in Warcraft lore, so I was more of a StarCraft and Diablo fan for Blizzard. But
That's
obviously,
reasonable.
Playing Hearthstone has brought me closer to the Warcraft lore, and I've learned some aspects of it, not a lot of it.
Sure.
And someone described to me the Warcraft movie as being like a WoW expansion, in that they said that they weren't sure if they were disappointed or happy that they were happy to get the content, but they were kind of disappointed that it didn't like fill every one of their fantasies. So they said, "I'll just wait for the next."
I mean, that's the thing.
And then, so I was like, oh, okay, well, that seems kind of reasonable.
I feel for the people who made that movie because no one is ever going to be able to please every single fan. But
right, exactly.
It wasn't Oscar material, but I think it was okay. Right. Moving back to the show in front of us right now, Language Hacker does find a use for that Mortal Coil, which always feels good early on. Oh, okay, a little bit of healing. Sure.
Yeah. This is a matchup where Generous Zombie feels so dangerous to play, even though it's well statted. Giving your opponent the ability to discount their hand and play things in a deck that capitalizes off discounting seems dicey. So I like Eddie going for like just not playing this Generous Mummy.
I'd be concerned.
And seems like he's just going to try to curve out here. Finds a Twilight Drake, which is very reasonable given how big his hand is.
Yeah, that's great, actually. That's going to be kind of tricky for a Language Hacker to deal with, you know, aside from something like Morag Nether Breath. And if you're Eddie, you're like, all right, well, you use that against basically a free minion. I will take that any day.
Yeah, and you know, I was thinking about the merits of going for Shadow Jewel Hanar and coining a secret and just saying like, hey, you know, you're going to start disrupting your plays.
Sure.
But this makes a lot more sense for tempo because the thing that Hanar doesn't do is damage.
Yeah, that's true. I think one of the unspoken heroes in this matchup is the health on minions like Evil Miscreant, which, just being at 4 health, makes it a little bit annoying for Warlock to find ways to remove it. Makes you use your removal perhaps a little bit less efficiently than you want to.
Yeah.
Which Hacker's still tapping, but I think that's something to kind of consider too, is cards like that are a pretty nice boon for Rogue in the matchup.
Yeah, it's kind of wild to think about. A year ago, Miscreant was 1-5.
Right?
It's even stronger. It was pretty nutty.
Yeah.
And it still looks really good as a 3-mana 1/4.
Oh yeah, for sure. Funny thing is, I was not doing a ton of Hearthstone back then. Very busy with Owl and all that, and so I didn't even realize that was the case until I heard about it like after the fact. I'm like, wait, what? It was a 1/5 at one point?
Right.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild to think about, right? Skull Gul'dan was 5, and
yeah,
Glaive of Death was a 7/4. It was just kind of crazy.
And that's coming from us, and we lived through the Undertaker meta.
Yeah,
we've seen some strong cards.
I know the Undertaker meta is largely perceived. Wow, this is such a big swing from Language Hacker. And he gets to get the full 8 heal. Big swing. But he doesn't actually deal with the Lackey, which is an opportunity for Eddie to potentially capitalize. But I guess he doesn't have 6 mana yet, so it wouldn't be the highest mana on it. Yeah. But yeah, we talk about like the Undertaker Hunter meta a lot, and quite honestly, we lived through something similar with the Demon Hunter meta. I think that's probably going to be the new benchmark of like how egregiously overpowered something was for a single deck. And because Demon Hunter was winning by turn 6 so often, which is exactly when Undertaker Hunter was winning.
Yeah, or like some of those other fringe examples, like T6 Rogue back in the day. Or Backspace Rogue, rather, is what it was called in the North American and EU scene.
Yeah, but that deck was never like the SS tier deck. It was definitely
true.
A good deck, maybe even tier 1. But
that's true.
Like Undertaker Hunter's worst matchup was against itself, and I think Demon Hunter was very much the same way upon day 1. But at the same time, it's still a very fun class, and it looks like they have it to a pretty decent spot here right now in the meta.
I think it's okay. I think there's forgiveness for both of those situations too, because Demon Hunter was a brand new class, and then Undertaker, that was in like the very first expansion for Hearthstone ever, if I remember right.
Yes.
So the game was just new, you know.
Curse of Naxxramas, which
that's right. Good old Curse of Naxxramas. All right, Keldon drawn. No Abyssal Summoner in the hand for Language Hacker, which would be theoretically a pretty good play here. Do you maybe just plot twist? Is this a plot twist turn?
My first instinct is to plot twist because my opponent took it really slow. My second instinct is to kill the Lackey on the board so that way he doesn't get a very easy High Spear and Togwaggle.
True.
But this plot twist is like your opponent's not presenting meaningful threat onto the board.
You've still got a good chance, yeah, there it is, to draw something that deals with the lackey, which he does, and he also completes the quest, so definitely a plot twister.
I do want a hero power, but I think you might end up just playing a card from hand here instead.
I agree that I think the High Spirit and Togwaggle threat is maybe a little bit too great to let that lackey sit there.
Right, it's just an extra turn, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know that your opponent has the guaranteed Togwaggle on 7, but
Sure.
you can delay it just for...
Yeah, I suppose. Either way, it's not going to happen this turn anyway for Eddie. He didn't have it in the hand. But now you have to start thinking about all those discounted lethal opportunities that your opponent's going to have. So and they're going to draw them at some point. So in a certain sense, the timer has been started for Eddie to find a way to win this game.
Yeah, this is the other side of the matchup where Rogue took a little bit too long to set up. Warlock took 5 net damage in setting up their free hero power.
Right.
Or sorry, not free hero power. The hero power which makes cards free. It's an awkward spot here for Eddie because he doesn't actually have meaningful aggression. Eviscerate's nice as a potential way to threaten burst damage.
It's probably going to be your best option, right? Because Bamboozle is not going to present enough of a threat to really be worth it. And Head Crack, I can't remember the last time I saw that card in any Rogue decks. It's been a long time.
Yeah. I like using Blackjack Stunner or the second Goblin Lackey here as well.
Yeah.
Stunner is intriguing because you can actually use it to get past big Abyssal Summoner taunt minions.
You probably do want to save it for that, don't you?
Ow. Yes. I'm saying this Abyssal Summoner looks pretty nice because you can use Rain of Fire and then go for the Abyssal Summoner, and then you know your opponent should have no lackeys remaining.
Yeah. Do you, I guess, do you worry about the secrets, though? And maybe you do. He draws the Broodmother with the hero power.
Yeah.
At least you get the free taunt out there.
Yeah, testing for ambush here. Also, Rain of Fire would give Eddie 2 cards because of Dirty Secrets.
Yeah. What's the next play now, though? It's a little bit of an interesting situation because all of your removal hurts your minions. You feel like he'd slammed that Broodmother a little bit too early? I guess Nether Drake is not active, so you can just play it as a 5/5.
Oh.
Wow. All right. Togwaggle off the top.
Wow. I mean, Eddie's hesitating just to make sure that it's not bait, but it looks so good. And now he gets 3 free cards from the Wondrous Wand. I would like to see him entertain the idea of Blackjack Stunner here, because I believe the Broodmother is still... well, one, it's like going to threaten all your minions, but...
Right.
I don't believe this heals the minion because it has to be drawn, so you have to reshuffle it in anyways.
Yep, exactly. So now they just have a 7 mana 4/6 taunt in their hand, which is not great. Draws another Broodmother. So you got to use something before you hero power here.
Good Dark Skies opportunity at first glance, but Bamboozle does introduce another series of logistical challenges.
Yeah.
So Dark Skies deals 10. If you attack with this Crazed Netherwing, and what's like the worst case scenario for Language Hacker?
Oh man, that's a good question. It could be something pretty massive because you don't want to. I mean, it'll lose 5 health though, I guess, right? Whatever it is.
Yeah, there's a couple of like really beefy minions. I'm thinking like Goru, the Might Tree.
Right.
So he ends up going instead for the attack onto the Evil Miscreant, which transforms it into a minion that trades, and then you can go ahead and clear the board. So this ends up being a good choice here from Language Hacker.
Yeah, that's probably wise. Dirty Tricks does give Eddie a couple cards at least. Leaving another Dirty 2 more secrets.
What?
Ooh, but a free Alex Strasza. Oh boy, alright. Alright, the combos are on now. Yeah, why not just slam that?
Jeez.
Interesting. There's Galakron.
Okay. I mean, this can get real explosive. So Flick here looks good to me as like a first initial idea of what you want to do because you don't have a way to deal with this 8/8 otherwise. Then what else do you play? I guess Ambush is like the most tempo to generate against Language Hacker because if he plays another big threat, 2/3 can kill it. Theoretically.
I think that makes sense. You want to be able to handle whatever the next big threat is. So, Flick, Ambush would be all 8 of your mana, probably the way to go. I suppose at some point, too, you want to get Galakron out there and be able to utilize Kronks afterwards, but has he invoked... I don't think he's invoked at all yet this game, which is not the biggest deal with Rogue, but probably wants something out of this Galakron.
Yeah, seems like he's leaning towards secrets here. He's got to kill the Alex Strauss, that's for certain. Can't afford to leave anything else up. I just like Cross Illumination. It seems like you got to play the ambush because Dirty Tricks doesn't really accomplish much. You already have like a lot of forms of card draw. You don't need more cards.
Right. So another inactive Crazed Netherwing for Language Hacker. Let's see though. You obviously do have ways to rid yourself of this 4/4.
So many possibilities.
It's kind of annoying to have so much redundancy in the hand. He's got 2 Abyssal Summoners, 2 Rain of Fires, 2 RNSE Broodmothers.
Right.
So this will summon out the Ambush minion, which you can't really address unless he wants to Soulfire it.
Oh, yeah. Soulfire, I guess you do, but what do you discard here? It's not... Alright, Morag Artificer. He didn't have any of his, like, mega, like, power cards in his hands, so...
Yeah, I think outside of his other Abyssal Summoner, that probably was, like, one of his better cards he wanted to keep.
Yeah, probably.
So worth playing this Acidic Swamp Ooze. Your opponent hasn't actually invoked Galakron that much, so trying to destroy a weapon is not that impactful right now.
Yeah, I think part of the priority due for Language Hacker is trying to set up lethal, but there's Van Cleef. All right, so we're going to have a big Edwin come through here, that's for sure.
Oh, jeez.
The stunner's
my
so good
goodness.
here. And the Shadow Step, wow.
Yes. Dirty Tricks, Blackjack Stunner. He also has a unique opportunity to, like, Shadow Step his Flick. But that's only if you know for a fact Language Hacker's holding the second Abyssal Summoner. Seems much more effective. Okay, so it seems much more effective to simply buff the Van Cleef. And then if your opponent doesn't kill Van Cleef, or you just use Kronks to go for the win.
Yeah. I think that sounds logical. Let's see what he gets. That's a big deal.
Yep.
All right.
Very secrets.
Yep. And sends a 9/9 back to the hand where it becomes extremely expensive rather than free from playing the Abyssal Summoner.
Costs 10, right? Yeah.
Just 10, yeah, 9 plus the 1. There's Big Edwin.
Right. And I like this no Shadow Step from Eddie because he doesn't want to all in case he's running into a Twisting Nether or a Keladon. And Language Hacker, I think, has the hero power here. And we mentioned the loss of Moarg Artificer and how it's kind of important. Just look how important it would be in this position.
Yeah,
we'd be able to play more Rain of Fire, and then I think he should have been able to clear off the Van Cleef, but alas, such privilege.
Alas, poor Warlock. Not able to find the stuff. All right, Dirty Tricks draws a couple more cards. Another Shadow Step for Eddie. There's another breath, and yet another reason why you would have wished to have that Moarg Artificer in your hand. No sense seems to try to find it. Is there a possible... I'm trying to look for a way you can maybe get lethal out of this, but I'm not seeing it. Or a way to kill the Van Cleef?
If he plays Crazed Netherwing and then just, like, develops with things behind it, he could end up just killing his opponent.
Possibly, yeah.
Right. Okay, he's gonna balk. He's gonna balk here.
Okay.
I like this play a lot because by damaging your Abyssal Summon, Eddie can't use things like Seal Fate onto it.
It's a very good point.
So this is actually a really nice, clever sequencing from Language Hacker. Something that I wasn't really thinking about, but in hindsight makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Being able to seal Fate makes it much easier to clear that 9-9, which would be a 9-6 in that case.
Right.
Still has a 12-10 on the board. So what's the opportunity going to be? He's hovering over that generous mummy.
So it's kind of annoying because Galakrond hasn't been played yet, so Kronks is still not that good.
Right.
So when I was saying Ed went into Kronks, I forgot that he had to play Galakrond. Kind of important.
Sure.
Eddie could finish invoking Galakrond. He could play the Shield of Galakrond, for example, and then Shadow Step it, and then play it again.
True.
But I don't know how much that would accomplish versus just playing Galakrond this turn.
I mean, I like the idea of gaining the armor at least, and you know, obviously the discounted cards are fantastic as well. Finds a Kobold minion, so he can clear that 1-2 if he wants to. He will Shadow Step.
I hope he has enough time. You have enough time?
Goes for it. All right. So Van Cleef is now a 10-10.
Oh, boy.
All right. Well, that's a good draw for Language Hacker off the top. Able to clear the board. Except for the Reborn minion.
Oh my goodness.
no.
That's even better, because now you can develop behind it.
Yeah.
Now he can legitimately consider if he wants to play Keladon and then Crazed Netherwing to put his opponent down to 10 health, and then challenge with the potential lethal, except he doesn't actually have lethal follow-up at all, so
many possibilities.
Doesn't really have any of the damage in hand that you would, you know, hope to have. I mean, he already used Soulfire.
Right.
So that's a big, like, lethal tool that's kind of not available anymore to him this game.
Right.
Even with these board clears, I feel like you're kind of trending in the direction right now where you're just hoping for, like, a really insane Dragon Queen Albatrossa turn. You're so close, but yet so far if you're the Warlock right now.
Probably just Keladon plus Keladon is Twisting Nether, but you get a free development of a 3-3.
Yep.
And I think you just play... Yeah, this makes us the most expensive big minion you can, which is Leather.
Yep. Why not play the Swamp Ooze as well? Warlock isn't going to present any big weapon threats. You don't even see the weapon played a lot of times in these rogue games.
I believe Galakrond it might be fully invoked.
I think it needs like one more, maybe. I'm trying to tell from the portrait. Could be wrong though. Does he? Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yep. So I miscounted how many invokes there are, but the idea is Eddie does have all 4 ready. He has double questing adventurer, which is hard to turn down. I think if I was him, I'd consider 1 for sure. The second one I might hold on to.
I don't know, man. In WoW, you always want to travel in a party.
Well, he's not going to go alone. He's got this. He's got this mummy.
Give me a quest.
He does have that mummy. Oh, he's going for it. All right. Pretty confident. He saw Keldon go down last turn, so maybe he just doesn't suspect that there's a Twisting Nether in the hand for Language Hacker.
Or if he does, he's saying that I can't beat it anyways.
Yeah, or he's saying like, hey, I've got, you know, Kronks now. So Kronk Shadow Step is a way to come back after that, after losing everything, so why not?
I mean, he does have 2-turn lethal, right? Through the form of Kronks, and he's still putting out 5 damage this turn, 5 damage next turn.
Very true.
So Language Hacker has this Twisting Nether, and he has a tap, but keep in mind, he's down to 2 cards in his deck. Just 2.
Yeah. He's drawn nearly everything.
That if he doesn't draw Malygos with that, he has a full costed Malygos, and I don't think he can win this game.
I mean, there's just... Does he have maybe one more Rain of Fire in his hand? Like, is Malygos even going to give him any face damage at this point? There's Zephyrus. I guess you could... Is there a world where you could Zephyrus into some sort of damaging spell and then Malygos? You still would be paying full cost for it, though. Because he's going to draw Malygos next turn now.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's just a rough situation for Language Hacker here. By rough, I mean this game seems pretty over despite the Twisting Nether.
He has Dark Skies and Crazed Netherwing. if he doesn't want Twisting Nether, because I think he needs to set up a board to try to win. But he still has Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, so you know, I wouldn't count it out. Like, there's a chance that he might get a 0-mana Malygos, and then he has 2 Malygos to just get there. But if I'm Eddie, I've seen Twisting Nether, I've seen Keladon. I think this is Green Skies, or Clear Skies, rather. Green Light. I mean, look, there's a lot of Nether in the Void, or whatever. There's a lot of Fell energy being thrown around here. I don't know.
Green Skies, though, yeah.
Well, I mean, look at the portraits.
Yeah, I suppose.
Skies definitely aren't blue.
Gul'dan versus Galakron over there. Everything's pretty green right now. There's a lot of Fell magic getting thrown around in this game.
Ah, so I did choose the right word. Anyways, this might be an opportunity just to go ahead and throw Kronks down summon 8/8.
Yeah, I would say so.
Oh, yeah?
Okay. Ooh, interesting.
Okay, well, the reason why I think he doesn't consider that is he knows that there's also a Zephyrus guaranteed, so if he plays Kronks, then he just kind of gets destroyed.
That is true. You're going to find like another Twisting Nether wrecking your board as well,
Right.
so why not juggle lackeys for a little while?
The only thing is that this board seems very vulnerable to the Crazed Netherwing that you know is also in the hand.
Yeah.
Like, it's a unimpressive Crazed Netherwing.
So, I'm trying to find a way for Language Hacker to get the Malygos out and have it live long enough for him to Zephyrus into some sort of devastating spell. We'll see what he gets from Dragon Queen Alexstrasza. Well,
He doesn't have enough. Zephyrus doesn't offer, I think, a 1-mana AoE last time I checked. I guess the AoE would be like Forked Lightning.
yeah.
It's not anything special. So he's going to go ahead and see what he can get here.
Yeah. What's the perfect card? Next turn stuff. Okay.
Well, that helps. That takes out 5 damage. But with Kronks in hand and a Shadow Step, that's guaranteed lethal. Rogue's going to take this win. That'll be game number 1 over to Eddie.
Yep. Eddie will be able to buff all the minions next turn and run in for lethal. The choice is irrelevant for Language Hacker right now. But, you know, might as well take a little bit of time to just think about things. Yep, Eddie nodding. He knows he's got the lethal, and it is going to be a rogue win for game number 1. And that's got to feel good. As far as looking at Eddie's lineup goes, rogue maybe is one of the decks that you're a little bit worried about getting a win, and he is able to achieve that in his very first game.
Yeah, and you know, you see Rogue have a pretty dominant matchup, but yet on ladder it seems like it's 50-50 or around there.
Sure.
And it just goes to show you like a really well paced out series of draws here from Eddie, like extending at the right time, setting up for the proper kill opportunities, and more importantly, like showing restraint when needed. Just really well done by Eddie. Really well done.
That was a really carefully, calmly played rogue game from him, and nice to have that win out of the way. Now just has to worry about his own Warlock and Demon Hunter, and that's a pretty good position to be in when you look at your opponent's decks and you realize they're going to have to get a win with Druid at some point.
Yep. So with that, Rogue is now checked off, which means that we are left with Warlock and Demon Hunter versus Warlock, Demon Hunter, and Druid. Expect a lot of these matchups, which is why I played a lot of it during ladder this week. And overall, like Eddie getting that win with the Rogue was a really big X factor in the series, so he's really good position to take it all the way.
Exactly. So the question is now, what do you go with next if you're Language Hacker? You didn't get the win with the Warlock. You have a chance of running into the mirror if you play it again, depending on what Eddie goes for. Do you maybe just use this opportunity as a chance to get the win with the Druid? Either way, it's going to be rough, but I wonder what the thought process is there.
Yeah, I mean, I think with this kind of position as Language Hacker, you just kind of keep queuing up that Warlock, because that Warlock is going to be that susceptible deck in the lineup. It's kind of weird, because Warlock last week I thought might be the power deck, and now it seems like it could, like, it's good enough to bring, but it's also a liability.
Right. 1-0 lead for Language, or for Eddie rather, as we go into the Warlock mirror. And we've seen this earlier. It's a pretty passive matchup early on, but it gets complex when you start to consider all the different available combos to try to win it with. That's get a bit tricky.
Yeah, I think that this mirror has pretty much convinced me that, you know, you really just have to hard mulligan for Sense Demons outside of the quest, and that going first isn't always the best, even though you do get that extra mana crystal. And I think it's because the fact is the moment you finish the quest, it doesn't matter if you have that one extra mana, it really matters which card you're drawing off the tome.
Right. Look at the opening hand right now for both of these players. I suppose if you're Language Hacker, you don't mind keeping the Questing Explorer just to be able to get that 2-3 out on the board. Be a little bit annoying with some early damage and, you know, not miss your draw.
Yeah, this is the only matchup which I don't think that you have to play Questing Explorer on to, or that you shouldn't play Questing Explorer on to. No,
Really?
that doesn't sound right. But I mean, it's the only matchup that I encountered frequently, which I didn't always play Questing Explorer on.
I think there's reasons to do that. You know, you may want just a card in hand for things like Dark Skies. You may kind of think that, well, this Questing Explorer is just not going to end up doing any real damage because it's going to get healed.
Yeah, it's just that in other matchups, you really need the tempo, like especially against Demon Hunter and regular Hunter and Rogue.
Right.
But in this match, you can totally get away with just tapping and getting that extra card draw, and then having the Questing Adventure on, or Questing Explorer on 4. But the issue with that is that because you're on the coin, you're going to have full hand, so you often have to dump something like the coin. And the coin can be used for another series of plays, which is the ability to coin to Abyssal Summoner. Right now, Language Hacker is in a really good spot because he found the best turn 2 and the best turn 3. And he's about to have the best turn 4, which is tap into Plot Twist.
Yeah, he's drawing the maximum number of cards possible at this point in the game. Sense Demons, Morag Artificer are going to get dropped by Eddie. And Eddie, not having the Plot Twist in his hand, is going to be completing his quest quite a bit later here. So you anticipate perhaps a Plot Twist here?
The only question is if he wants to use the coin here. Chooses not to.
Yeah, it's in the deck now. Ugh.
Well, it just gives him that extra card or extra quest tick so that he can get it completed just a little bit faster.
I just get nervous, Frodan. I get nervous when that coin goes in the deck because it seems like it gets drawn at like the worst time every time.
And it didn't show up in the hand. Eddie's going to go ahead and use Plot Twist himself.
That coin's going to come out to be a 0 coin discounted 0 coin.
I predict that this game will end before either player gets to 10 mana.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm just saying that that's just like, don't be surprised if that happens because both players will be using a bunch of resources, and if they just tap into, like specifically on Eddie's side, because he doesn't have a lot of his power dragons, but if he taps into it and gets 0 mana stuff, it can just end the game.
Very true. 0 mana Malagos, which he has to find a way to get out of his hand. He's got the other Plot Twist, so at least he can do that. Yeah. But that's one of those things where if you see a player with one of those big dragons in their hand and they don't have a way to get it back in the deck, that's suddenly a pretty big disadvantage in the mirror.
Yeah, so I guess maybe saying like it's straight up prediction is obviously unlikely, but you know, one of those things to keep an eye out as both these players jockey for position on the board. This Crazy Netherwing is the best tempo you can present, 5/5. That's hard to challenge with just a Nether Breath.
Yep. Rain of Fire. Okay. And he's got those 2 Nether Breaths, but he doesn't have any way, like you mentioned, to boost it up to cleanly kill the Nether Drake. You'd have to use something else. He already used 1 Mortal Coil, I believe. So didn't have as high of a chance to draw the second one. Could use Rain of Fire, but it just doesn't feel good to use that to clear a 5/1.
Abyssal Summoner also doesn't feel great here because you're putting a 2/2 and a 9/9, and if your opponent runs into the board, it's a very easy clear for Nether Breath or Dark Skies themselves, so it doesn't seem like a particularly good thing to do.
Right.
Also, you're not really making too much progress in your quest. But at the same time, it's 6 mana. It's a full hand. You don't, and Abyssal Summoner is always the strongest on 6. Of course, unless you play it for free later in the game.
Yeah, I mean, if you play the Abyssal Summoner, at least it forces some sort of response from your opponent. Despite the fact that they've got a 5/5 out already. Seems like Eddie thinks that's the current best course as well. Dark Skies is the draw from Language Hacker. All right.
So, I mean, another reason to play it, though, is Disruption.
Yeah.
Is, you know, Language Hacker can't just play his own Abyssal Summoner right back, because that leaves him vulnerable to like a Keldon play. So
Sure.
he has to respond to this. This looks like a opportunity for him to play Dark Skies and then questing Explorer. Is there an alternative way to go about it? If he plays Dark Skies, he has 9 cards in hand. And in the worst...
Well, thinking about maybe going for the Morg Artificer and a clear. Ooh, Rain of Fire. Okay.
This allows Mortal Coil to kill it off now.
Yeah.
Like that. And they actually
Yeah,
can
I
play
like
the
this.
Questing Explorer as well, which is great.
So that completes the quest, I believe. Right? Yeah. Okay. Wow.
This is a great play.
Yeah,
I
very.
think this is better than the Dark Skies by a pretty significant margin. And he got to get Mortal Coil to draw, which is important. And also, he dumped hand space. This is actually a very good player.
Elegant turn to essentially keep up with Eddie, who just completed his quest.
Yeah, he got done. He cleared the board, got the done quest a little bit earlier, and used all of his mana and kept his hand space free. It had it all. This turn had it all for Language Hacker.
Yeah. So now Eddie, deciding what he wants to do with this turn, he can use his hero power, but he's got to play something from hand first. I suppose it would be Crazed Netherwing for the clear.
Yeah, if he hero powers, there's a risk he can't play it, so
Right.
I go for it. Finds the Soulfire.
Oh, well, actually, you know, it's not bad because you can get some of those like Mal'Ganis, or not Mal'Ganis, Malgos, you know, Rain of Fire, Soulfire turns for big damage. But Malagos is still in his hand. That's a problem here.
Yeah,
At 10 mana, you can play it.
That's a concerning thing for Language Hacker to see Eddie hold 10 cards and not play anything.
Right.
It's like, what did you just draw? Is that Alex Straza for 0? No, he probably would have played Alex Straza. I don't know. It's hard to say, right? Like, there's a lot of variabilities at Malagos.
Yeah, I think at this point, you gotta like drop cards and hopefully you can find a free Alex Straza.
Right. Well, Eddie has the ability to play the Questing Explorer and then go for the Tome if he wants to immediately commit the least amount of mana committed is Rain of Fire.
Yeah.
But that could be used as burst later on for Malagos.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, is that if he finds an Alex Straza, then a 10 mana kill turn is, if your opponent's 15 health from Alex Straza, you Malagos, Soulfire, Rain of Fire, because your Soulfire is 0 mana. So he would have had that, but he opts for the plot twist instead.
And that gives Language Hacker some relief, because the 0 mana discounted card didn't turn out to be a good one to hold. So.
Guess so.
And Eddie rewarded too, because he didn't pick up any of his expensive dragons. He finds Dark Skies for 0. That's not what you want.
Yeah.
Much rather have Nether Breath for 0. That'd be very powerful.
Abyssal Summoner, maybe the play for Language Hacker just to put another high health body on the board.
Yeah, and he can go ahead and use his hero power and play Keldon for tempo, and honestly threaten a potential lethal here. Like, if Eddie leaves up this board, that's 14 on the board plus the Rain of Fire, so that would actually kill Eddie straight up. Not to mention the threat of Zephyrus just having a ability to end the game through a Bloodlust.
Very true. We're at that point in the game where every player has to be thinking about what they can do for lethal every game, and there's a free Malagos. Ooh, what does he have, though? He's missing that Soulfire, and he's also missing the Alexstrasza to bring his opponent down low enough where you can put together those lethals.
Right, so this is one of those things where Eddie has to very carefully balance the greed versus the not being too passive here. Keladon looks pretty good to just drop here.
I agree.
Can he do something better than that? Dark Skies and Mortal Coil can also clear off a big portion of this.
You need to make sure that you get rid of the 9/9, and this seems like the surest way to do that.
Yeah.
Does find himself a draw with the Mortal Coil here. Only leaves a 2/2 on the board.
Wrong Alexstrasza.
Yep. Yeah, full price Alexstrasza.
Okay, so lnguagehackr does have the ability to play things like Zephyrus and Dragon Queen Alexstrasza now. He can play Rain of Fire, trade, and then play Dragon Queen, for example.
So many possibilities.
I think that's something that he has to evaluate if it's worth doing to go for it.
Life and hope of will fight.
Why not? Leaves an 8/8 on the board, unopposed for the moment anyway. Ooh, finds a Twilight Drake. That's a lot of health to chew through as well. 10 health on the Twilight Drake. Evasive Fellwing is, it's an okay dragon. Don't know if you slam it here because you are a little bit worried about Twisting Nether, which is probably going to be the play.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to overextend into a big AoE clear. You saw Keladon, but you know that there is a pretty decent likelihood that Twisting Nether has been drawn by now.
Yeah, exactly.
So Malygos has Nether Breath and Rain of Fire. That does 15 damage. Not good enough.
Not in this particular case, but anytime you have a free Malygos, there's going to be some opportunities. Free Crazed Netherwing.
That's important. If Eddie just played a taunt minion and didn't have anything to, and he didn't play Nether Breath, I think lnguagehackr had lethal with his Zephyrus. And Eddie, by not playing Twisting Nether, has also kind of set the groundwork to lure lnguagehackr into a trap.
Right. Because that's the board that a lot of times you would see the Twisting Nether come out against. And not this case. In fact, he doesn't even clear everything, opting not to use the Nether Breath. So, yeah, maybe sort of pretending that he doesn't really have the removal that you would hope to have in Eddie's plays right now. What can you do if you're lnguagehackr? Is there any lethal opportunities? I don't think so.
Not with this.
So many possibilities.
But he does have the ability to play his own Twisting Nether, and then he can hero power, and then his card dump would be Evasive Fellwing. Is there a better way to do about it? He could possibly Dark Skies. I didn't count how much damage was there.
That's why I was wondering if maybe you trade Dark Skies, but looks like he did the math and that didn't end up being the play. Evasive Fellwing comes down. A little bit annoying in that you can't directly target it with something like a Nether Breath, but Eddie does have other ways to deal with it. Maybe more Artificer here. Since we're at the point in the game where your health doesn't really matter all that much, so you aren't worried about using that to get more heals. He's kind of planning on the game ending with like an Alexstrasza into some sort of big burst.
Pretty awkward draw for Eddie. Picks up Soulfire, so that puts up his damage to 4 plus 4 plus 1 plus 15.
Yeah. Just goes for the Twisting Nether. Crazed Netherwing comes in.
I mean, another hero power here into Malygos. Okay.
Double. So he's got the Nether Breath. One free one, one regular cost one. Opponent at 21 health. I'm trying to figure out if Zephyrus gives you some sort of lethal opportunity here.
He's probably going to assume that Eddie has some combo piece free. And so he has to count his range of damage. Right now we know Eddie is at 24 damage with the 15 plus the 9. So if he plays the Crazed Netherwing and doesn't do anything else, he dies. At the same time, lnguagehackr, if he has a lot of burst in his own hand. He's got 2 Nether Breath, Soulfire, and Zephyrus. That's a lot. So if he just plays the RNSC Broodmother,
right,
and he has the 12 from hand plus the Zephyrus, that is also lethal himself.
So all these mirrors always come down to Warlock Artificer is a draw.
Eddie could go for it. He could just Malagos, Rain of Fire, Nether Breath. He's gonna tap, finds the other Rain of Fire.
Oh wow, is that?
That is lethal.
Is that lethal? Yeah.
Yes.
12 plus 7, 9. Yeah, I think it is. All right.
Wait.
Is it?
Just has to make sure there's some sequencing things because Rain of Fire does 6 damage. He killed the Malagos and he does it again.
Ooh, so it's a situation.
Has to. So he's gonna sense demons to increase the chance that he doesn't discard his Rain of Fire, but it's still a chance.
I love it. At least he's doing everything he can. Okay, Broodmother comes out. He's okay, and that is lethal. Language Hacker. A bit upset about that one. It's a 2-0 lead now for Eddie in this series. Yeah, that
really good technical sequencing there from Eddie in the final moments. And overall, just showing spectacular play again. Did find an opportunity to be a little bit more aggressive with that combo now that he found the Malagos for 0 mana and was always looking for it. And that's the most important thing.
That Soulfire play where there's one card in your hand that you don't want to discard. Anything else is fine. Just that one card. It's the scariest moment in Hearthstone. You know, and it's existed basically since Hearthstone has existed because Soulfire was part of the initial set of Warlock cards that was released with the game way back when. But that moment, I can't think of any other moment in a game of Hearthstone that is as tense as that moment where you need a Soulfire first, but you need one other card to survive.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that the big thing to consider right now was that Eddie didn't have lethal in hand, and he had to hero power for it. He played his Malagos first, which is bold to say the least.
Right.
So maybe even scared than that Soulfire play was what happens if you didn't get it. But I think he also had the ability to draw into Alex Straza for that lethal, so there were multiple outs there. As well as another Crazed Netherwing. So I think actually Eddie calculated the risk, and he actually had that lethal as a very likely outcome, if not guaranteed.
It's true. Sometimes the game just chooses you, you know? Well, Demon Hunter is the last class that Eddie needs a win with to move on. Language Hacker needs to get a win with the Warlock here to survive. And that's an expensive hand for Eddie, but against the Warlock, you'd think you'd want to get a really fast start, but honestly, I think maybe you're okay with this. It's not the greatest thing, but it's maybe not the end of the world in this matchup in particular.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. You still want something, because you don't want Warlock to be like so free in terms of how they feel like they can tap. You want them to spend their cards somewhat inefficiently.
Sure.
So I would say that yes, the early game damage is not nearly as impactful, but at the same time, not doing anything is not
bad.
exactly ideal either.
There's so many cards you can draw to have something to play. I'm trying to do the math, but it's like at least a third of your deck is playable in like turns 1 and 2, and he hasn't drawn any of it.
Well, geez, Language Hacker also has the Sense Demons on 3. It's gotta be frustrating here for Eddie. Okay.
All right, now you got something maybe. But you don't have a great turn. You don't really have a great turn with the Satyr Overseer. Anything you play can just get Rain of Fired.
This, to me, feels like a potential opportunity to coin the Cane. I know that sounds really weird, but you don't really... I guess if you're going to do that, you might as well just play Satyr Overseer, coin hero power.
I don't think that's weird at all. I think coin the Cane is not bad. yeah, you lose the ability to bypass some taunts in the late game, which could be significant.
I grow impatient.
But at the same time, we talked earlier about how it's important that you get the Warlock to use their removal in, slightly inefficient ways. So if you're playing that 5 health Cane, it presents enough of a threat that the Warlock kind of needs to do something about it.
Yeah, the thing is that if he plays Cane and Satyr Overseer on turn 4, then he's leaving himself open to a Crazed Netherwing on 5. Otherwise, he's just hero power and pass here.
It's a
So
coin.
he's gonna,
Okay.
Yeah, so this is State Overseer trying to get ahead of the Crazed Netherwing, which is why I think I like that better. So that way State Overseer has more upside. But as we know, Language Hacker is well equipped to handle this.
Oh, yeah. Draws another wing anyway for next turn, but yeah, he's got Moarg Artificer, Rain of Fire. He can definitely handle this. Or just Rain of Fire too. You probably don't want to use both of them, but he's got multiple ways to clear this board.
So many possibilities.
The question is, does he want to life tap here?
Yeah, the question is if he wants to draw a card.
Yeah.
I think you don't really want to mess with your life total that much. I've seen a lot of Warlocks win without completing the quest in this matchup. And that's because Demon Hunter had committed a lot to the board. It got major value, right? Cards like Crazed Netherwing and Dark Skies kill like 2 to 3 cards, maybe even more. And then Demon Hunter has nothing, and then you just have like a single Abyssal Summoner stick on the board that made them die. So I think that tapping here is a little bit greedy, and I kind of rather just play more Artificer.
What he's gonna do? Moarg Artificer into the Rain of Fire to clear the board.
Yeah, good test.
Yeah, and presenting a 2-4 or 2-2, I guess in this case against a Demon Hunter is okay. It does take a little bit of work to try to clear that. Umberwing, the immediate slam from Eddie.
Right.
And just gonna make a big bat.
Hey.
This is somewhat concerning for Language Hacker. Eddie has only been playing from the right side of his hand, meaning that he's been only playing cards that he's been drawing on top of his deck. And he passed his first 2 turns, and then he coined for like a Satyr Overseer turn that was super weak. So if I am interpreting what Eddie's hand is like, it's probably full of stuff like this. Sure. Really about it. That's going to win major tempo on the board.
What are the options now? Oh, draws into the Abyssal Summoner, but do you play it right now?
Yeah, it's just a 6/6.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not that big. It's going to get handled easily by what's on board.
Come close.
All right. This is another bit of a tempo swing where you get your 3/3 out, you eliminate their minion.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Yeah, forcing the response from Eddie again rather than the other way around. Draws a Blowtorch Saboteur. So that can actually be a little bit annoying against Warlock, who wants to be life tapping, because now you got to spend that 1 extra mana to do it. It's past the time where it's going to be really, really frustrating to deal with,
I
but
grow impatient.
you know, it's something.
Yes.
Is there a
Pain Sun
chance?
Fury. Oh, what's that?
Go ahead. I was just going to say, is there a chance you maybe do the Blowtorch Saboteur and then just play the I-Beam straight up for 3 mana?
Yeah, it's reasonable. I think Kane does the same thing, but you get to push an extra damage with the hero power, which is
That's a good point.
not trivial, right? Like, we're talking about how Demon Hunter needs to combo their damage. You need to get all the help you can. Squeeze it out.
It's a much better way of doing it.
Yeah.
Language Hacker immediately drops the Abyssal Summoner. He draws another one, too.
Yeah, this is... You're not expecting a lot from this kind of play, but you're just hoping that you can stem the bleeding a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's not going to. Eddie is going to be able to just start to push the damage. I am intrigued that he's clearing off the 6/6 instead of just going face. I guess it makes sense because he needs that Warglaive to be able to hit face too.
Yeah, you might as well get rid of the taunt, because you kind of assume that Kane is going to be gone.
This is tough, though. This is like the part where we're talking about where Demon Hunter sometimes just gets a little bit too outvalued by Warlock's cards.
Oh, I was going to say...
Oh, that's a big draw here from Eddie.
Yeah, being able to lock down the 6/6 is so clutch. I was going to say maybe if there's a chance you draw like the Twin Slice, then Altruist gets a little bit better.
Yeah, the problem with Twin Slice, actually, is that Eddie's middle cards are super expensive. But this Frozen Shadow Weaver with the Warglaives is nutty. It is so good.
Yep. Can freeze the 6/6, clear the rest of it. Your HP is getting a little bit low in that situation, but at least your opponent's is too.
Is it cold
Yeah, I mean, I think you gotta play pretty fearless a lot of the times here.
Gotta
Or
go for the
when you
win.
play Demon Hunter, yeah, you really just gotta like not pretend like your life matters and just try to threaten your opponent.
Right.
Even though, yes, he could die to just 2 burst cards, Nether Breath and Soulfire, for example.
And he
Zephyrus
leaves the
could kill
2/2
him.
up. Yeah.
He leaves the 2/2 up because I think he needs that extra swing in case he draws something that impacts that, like another Glaive Bound Adept.
That's a good point.
Also, it makes his Twin Slice a little bit more strong in case he needs to get past a taunt and he has a little bit extra HP to swing past that.
So Language Hacker's hand is a bit awkward here. Gonna go ahead and life tap and see what he can find. Is that
so close?
I was
Wait,
gonna
he could
say.
plot twist. He could Soulfire and then plot twist for lethal. That is
Yeah, I guess so.
That is a play that requires cojones of steel.
How
Does
else
he
he gonna
have
win
it?
it? Oh my gosh, he's doing it. Oh, the Swamp Ooze, that's okay.
We go, Doa. Let's do it.
All right.
5 cards.
Looking for 4 damage from the top. There's a Mortal Coil, Dark Skies, Questioning Adventure.
Wait, is another draw?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what does he get with this? It's another Mortal Coil. All right.
Does he have another Soulfire in the deck?
I don't think so. Most people just run 1 right now, and he only runs 1 as well. I just checked. Yeah. You know, you gotta take the shot. He completed the quest. There's the silver lining, right? But
yeah,
that should be the end of the game. Yeah, with Metamorphosis, that is it. And Eddie will get the 3-0, and doesn't get much more smooth than that. Eddie moves on.
I really wanted Language Hacker to be rewarded for that swag play. That would be. I mean, not only is that cool, that was the right line because I think that was his highest chance of winning from that position. But yes, Frozen Shadow Weaver. Again, it just seems to be coming off the top of the deck for like the most opportune moments. And it was super clutch there for the Demon Hunter to get the win.
Right. Wow. Eddie playing, I think Language Hacker played well, but Eddie played a really, really clean series of Hearthstone. And you can really see why this guy was #1 in the division. And, you know, no shock that he's moving on. I think Language Hacker has a decent chance of joining him still, but he's got to go through another couple rounds now.
Yep. And so, you know, Eddie has been able to back up some of that hype that we've talked about with him being like one of the top America's players. This is the 3rd season now where he's been a threat and finished high in standings and gone deep in the playoffs. And it's like, how much longer will it take for him to get that break and be able to go to the World Championship?
Yeah.
Let's find out.
Is it Eddie's season? That's the question here. Yeah. Fun games today, though. And, you know, you got to get maybe a little bit frustrated sometimes if you're a Language Hacker and you had some of those games go to where it was really close. Like that series could have very easily been a 3-2 as well. Either way, depending on, you know, 1 or 2 turns for Language Hacker.
Yep, that's right. So with that, it brings us to our next break because we're going to head back to the lower bracket, the elimination match between Firebat and Empanizado. So don't go anywhere. We're not even halfway done with the day. Plenty more Hearthstone action coming up here in the Grandmasters for the Americans.
Hearthstone Grandmasters is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network.